Benz, revived, and then now owned by the Audi group. Bugatti again making itself a real benchmark. It's named after one of its most famous drivers, the Chiron Supersport, the Chiron Supersport 300 Plus. More extreme with every iteration.
Yeah, this exact car is the car that set the record fastest production car, so 304 miles an hour with the driver at the wheel at the moment. Andy Weiss, aeroless in Germany, 304 miles an hour.
Andy Weiss, Le Mans winner in Django. He's been a test driver for Django for many years, test driver now for Bugatti for a number of years. And again, we talked about this barrier. I'm old enough to remember when 200 miles an hour was a sensational speed for the McLaren F1 road car. We are now at 300 miles an hour in a car that is taxed and insured. It's utterly astonishing. Even more astonishing, perhaps, is this onboard view from a Mercedes powered by a Mercedes engine, but not just any Mercedes engine, a Mercedes
Exactly that. This is the Mercedes AMG one. They're going to make 275 of these, and as you said, it's got the engine powertrain from a Mercedes 6-litre turbocharged V6.
And so driver focus, the onboard here. Steering wheel, you know, all the little turny wheels for adjusting the suspension, the traction and everything else. Astonishing piece of kit, as is this. The return of MC to Maserati. The last time we saw those initials, the Maserati MC12, came on for 2 decades ago. That became a hugely successful racing car, and now the Triumph badge on the front of the MC20, and you can actually almost see that family lineage in this car as well.
Yeah, the MC12, that had screaming V12. This, very different. It's got a turbocharged V6 engine, twin turbo, 630 horsepower, 8-speed, double clutch gearbox, up to 62 in 2.9 seconds, 202 miles an hour flat out, and in 2025 there will be an all-electric version.
And that's where that a lot of these manufacturers are going to be able to just push performance into the stratosphere, because internal combustion engines can do so much, but pure electric power has almost no limit. Just realised he's left his passenger behind. Reversing lights come on. Great place to have the reversing lights right down there in the centre of what is effectively part of the diffuser. Getting ready for another full power 4-wheel drive launch. And again, with electric motors, you can have them either on a rear axle or on all 4 wheels. And this Lucid Air, the fabulous looking car this looks like something that should really float on air and be utterly silent. It's just got that aura about it.
We were lucky enough, this car swung by the office at Road Circuit the other day. Something like that, very luxurious, but the thing is, it's got more than 1,050 horsepower, all electric, maximum of 540 miles of range comes from San Francisco. Really impressive car, it's the first time we've seen it here.
And you know, I think this is going to be so much a part of where EVs are going. Because of the silence and the powertrain, it's so suited to a luxury car, and that car just says, all right, it's being driven by a complete hooligan in a very hooligan manner to show what it can do. What it will do is waft. This car is just going to waft around with, you know, in great luxury and comfort. So luxury and comfort, luxury and comfort. Not sure what luxury and comfort is. Maybe that'll be coming later in car development. Well, with the familiar blue and white rambles and a very familiar tuning name as well on the front. Andreas Volmer now driving this dark green B4 Alpina BMW up here. Alpina, like Schnitzer, have been tuning BMWs since the 1960s, and Alpina is always a badge that drivers know and understand.
Yeah, this is the new Alpina the Ford essentially what Alpine does is they have a slightly different approach to performance cars. They want to build something that is about performance and luxury, but for the road. It isn't about necessarily chasing numbers, although they almost always, very quick indeed, they're just about having an enjoyable road car experience with a bit more power, a bit more luxury.
And for BMW, it represents the opportunity for BMW buyers still to buy a BMW, but to have it a little bit more niche and customizable, and so that's why BMW and Alpina continue to have that relationship. It's sort of factory-blessed performance. Your factory warranty will still hold up if you buy an Alpina BMW. So it's very close indeed to sort of a skunk works tuning firm almost for the company. Now, we've seen an awful lot of well-known European names with high-performance cars. Kia, with this EV6 GT being driven with a great deal of pomp, a real step forward into super high performance for this Korean brand.
Yeah, this is the EV6 GT. GT is the EV6 has got 2 motors, 585 horsepower, 62 miles an hour in 3.5 seconds.
Jay Paley, the rally driver, whistling that up the hill. And again, plenty of Jaguar performance under the hood of this fabulous fast-moving SUV. Style, comfort, luxury, grace, space, pace. That was always Jaguar's motto, and I think in this F-Pace there's plenty of all of those.
Yes, the Jaguar F-Pace, the 1988 edition, was unveiled just last week, I believe. First time we've seen it here and heard it here. This is a tribute to the XJR9, the one of mine, 1998. It's got purple paintwork, 22 wheels, 550 horsepower.
Which is probably about as much as the Jaguar that won the one in 1988 boasted from its 5-litre V12 as well. Maybe a little less. Again, another familiar European name, and as all high-performance manufacturers have discovered, getting people on board with your brand often involves getting something or producing something that they can use as a family car. And this is Maserati's SUV.
It's the Maserati, Recale, Trofeo, the latest Maseratis, which are arranged in the turbocharged V6, makes lots of noise, makes lots of power.
And Trofeo, of course, is Maserati's gentleman racing brand. So Trofeo on a car means that this is something that's a little bit more than your standard, if there is such a thing, Maserati Recale. It just a little bit more pep and a little bit more get up and go.
So we're looking at the Porsche Taycan Sport Turismo, all electric. Space in the back for a dog. I know we said that quite a few times.
But it is important, you know, and it's a very well recognised problem for sports car manufacturers that sports car drivers have families and don't always want to separate family and fun. And so cars that have got 4 seats, but with the performance and the get up and go of a sports car are really important. Kazuki Nakajima, Japanese factory driver for Toyota Gazoo Racing until the end of last season. He's now stood back from international race driving, and he is now the boss of Toyota Gazoo Racing's racing operations across the World Endurance Championship. He is here with the Toyota GR Supra. Gazoo Racing now is going to be a sub-brand for Toyota, or is already a sub-brand for Toyota, for the most extreme versions of their cars. And the GR Supra is the latest of those. Of course, we've had the GR Yaris, which has been hugely well received, and the GR Supra, that's just upping the ante in the latest Toyota Supra.
Yep, came about this partnership between Toyota and BMW. You can get a straight 6 engine, you can get a 4-cylinder engine now. They also just introduced one with a manual gearbox, and now we're looking at the Toyota GR Yaris. This came back from a rally project for the WRC that never really happened. This was the homologation special. All-wheel drive, locking differentials. You pull the handbrake, you disconnect the drive shafts, and you just get the tail out nice and easily. Proper fun car.
Very well means that the Yaris, you know, in a lot of ways, an ideal starter car. This Yaris, a little less so. Probably not going to give it to your 18-year-old child on their birthday. It's more likely to be the 18-year-old child's car crazy dad that is driving this. But again, you know, perfectly docile around town. And like Pepperami, it can be a bit of an animal when you want it to be. There's an awful lot of power performance to be exploited. And all the driving reports are telling us that this car is a hugely fun and entertaining machine. So there are a lot of petrol heads in Toyota Gazoo racing, and that is becoming very evident as the GR brand starts to roll out on some of Toyota's obviously sporting models like the Supra, and less obviously sporting models like the Yaris. A fabulous looking Mercedes EQ heading its way up the hill towards you, but at the start line now is another Toyota's bright red machine. Being released again at a few moments intervals of the hill climb course, which will be our time shootout runs this afternoon from about 3 p.m. and very much looking to the future. Meanwhile, you don't necessarily have to be a racing driver to be able to handle a Hennessy Venom, but if you want to really exert all of its machinery, not only a run for its money, but an awful high in terms of outright pace and performance. Supercars is really not a justice. I think hypercars is at the very least you should be aiming for. Ferrari with a big group of entries. This is Miguel Molina, again, factory Ferrari driver, was racing for them in the Le Mans 24 Hours just 3 weeks ago. This is the latest Evo version of the FXX. Absolutely astonishing piece of equipment. And you can see why the manufacturers bringing their factory drivers to use these cars to their full abilities up the hill. This is not just a rolling motor show, this is a global sales pitch, wearing Rosso Corsa the Ferrari racing colours, but with the pale Oxford blue, Cambridge blue rather, of Colonel Ronnie Hall, who for many years was the British Ferrari importer Maranello concessionaires. They're driven by Rob Barth, who's got plenty of experience in GT racing Ferraris. This is Ferrari's latest entry-level road car, if such a thing is possible, the 296 GTB. And those famous letters GTB came initially with the 308 and still retain their significance for the Ferrari brand. GT Berlinetta of Rob Barth, being driven by Rob Barth. Looking here at the black Jaguar anti-mould in the F-Type R, latest and fastest, most focused of the Jaguar F-Type. Of course, just that little green badge with the R label on for those in the know immediately identifies an ordinarily good-looking Jag for something that's just a little bit special. Fabulous looking colour on this car as well, real colour changing from almost black to dark cherry red. And Type R's giving them that iron fist in a velvet glove appeal to so many drivers. They look relatively standard and anonymous, but pack an enormous punch. Absolutely wonderful. Cars coming past you fast and furious if you are trackside. This is Caterham's latest and most focused. Enormous array of cars on. This is a name from the 1930s, Hispano Suiza, a Spanish-Swiss motoring consortium. They were renowned for fabulously drop-dead, high-performance, ultra-exclusive cars. Been driven by former Grand Prix ace Spanish driver Luis Perez Sala. He's done his own time as a race driver in Formula One, many more years as a test driver. And the Hispano Suiza Carmen, again, heading back into the historic territory of Hispano Suiza. Days of yore, and it's got that real 1930s feel with the aero rear end and the faired in rear wheels. Spats on the car immediately giving the 1930s feel. The first time we've seen this car here in the UK at speed, and Luis Perez Sala making sure the frown on the car, the lidded eyes on it look really nice. Delighted to be joined again by Sean Ward. Sean, as ever, these Michelin Supercar runs, the first class runs, just bring out the 8-year-old boy in everybody, don't they? You know, these are all going to be posters on kids. Well, I suppose kids don't have posters on their vegetables anymore. It's all on their faces on the internet. Cars like this that have not been seen in public before, been driven by Chris Buncombe. This car, the Radford Lotus Type 62, being developed by Antansted and Jensen Martin. Again, you know, we think of bespoke manufacturers as being something of the size of a Ferrari or a Bugatti, but actually they can be tiny startups as well.
That's the thing, there are only going to be 62 of these cars, and it's a car that we've seen in pictures now for a couple of years. We've seen it in the metal here before. We just haven't seen it running, so this is our first opportunity to listen to it, to see it moving.
And that is an enormous difference, you know, for all the kids that are coming here from 9 to 92, having seen pictures of magazines and everything else is one thing, but to then hear them and feel them and actually see what they look like, that's what cars are. Cars are pictures, cars are moving, living things, and
that's the thing that's great is a picture on the wall or a picture on the background of your phone, and you actually see something moving, see it flying down the hill with the 911 GT2 RS, the Manthey Racing performance kit, Kevin Estre at the wheel, very successful.
GTE Pro just a couple of weeks ago, and yet Manthey Racing, they've run factory Porsche programs for decades. What Manthey knows about the 911, knows about the 911. You must forget more on a daily basis than most owners will ever know. And you can go from wild to wild with Manthey as well. They will take your 911 road car and turn it into damn near a full bore race car. They have the full gamut of products, and Kevin Est, again, giving the car a nice little airing up the hill. This is a big part of Festival of Speed, isn't it? It's not called Festival of Racing and Rallying and Motorbikes, it's called Festival of Speed, and we celebrate all kinds of performance here, whether it's on 2 wheels, or 3, or 4, whether it is normal internal combustion engine, whether they are hybrid powered, whether they're pure EV, everything is a celebration of motive, performance and power and style and luxury, whether you're going from the big prestige brands to the more, let's say, performance focused like Aston